All right, so we are now entering a fun phase, which is looking at how to create an alpha listing. A lot of what we did in the product development and ideation stage was really to consider the human being and the person that we're selling to and incorporating that really thoughtfully into a compelling offer. What this next section is all about is really taking that qualitative offer understanding and understanding of the customer, infusing it with the data and understanding of the algorithm and keywords within Amazon. So we're going to take that strong foundation in addition to all that initial keyword research that we've done and more scientifically figuring out how to both index and rank for those keywords on Amazon. And again, this is a critical part of the game, right? Amazon is an algorithm. There's not a human being deciding which keywords should show up for which products. It's all mathematical and it's systematized. And the more that we understand those systems and match that with these compelling offers and customer understanding that we've already cultivated, the better we're going to do on Amazon and the more likely we are to find success with our products. So the purpose of this presentation is really just to understand how the Amazon algorithm indexes and prioritizes keywords for organic rank and how we can prioritize keyword placement and usage as a result. And there's really two things we need to do to understand indexing and keyword SEO, which is where are the words and how are they written and where in a particular listing are they written. So to first understand how Amazon gives keyword ranking within a listing, it's important to understand where they give more credit to those keywords. In other words, where in an Amazon listing is a keyword most likely to get benefit from the Amazon algorithm in terms of indexing and potential organic ranking power. So the first is the title. I think this one is pretty common sense, right? They're really going to give a lot of validity to the words that are in a listing's title, simply because if you put it in the title, that's most likely to be highly relevant to describing what your product actually is. Not only is the title itself given a lot of credit, where the keywords are in the title also matters. So those that are on the front end of a title are typically going to be given more power in terms of indexing and rank potential than those that are on the latter half of a title. The next ones, frankly, are not as scientific and there's a little bit of debate, but I think it's probably safe to assume that this is the hierarchy. At least that's how I think about my listings now, based on talking with others in the space that have looked at more data sets than I have. But the next benefit is the bullets, so you're likely to get the next best benefit out of the bullets in your listing. And similar to the title, those that are at the front of the bullets or that are like the descriptor of the bullet before you get into the written part are typically going to be given more indexing power than those that are on the end of a bullet. Then it goes into the back end elements of Amazon. This is the search terms primarily on the back end, although there's other elements that do index and provide rank credit on the back end as well. And then to description and or A+, usually it's one or the other. I have seen situations where both the description and A+ content is shown, but typically it's going to be one or the other. We will fill out both of these sections in our listing, including A+ tags, which I think a lot of people don't realize that the A+ content does actually index. And then finally, another little known thing is that reviews and Q&A also do index. We obviously don't have the ability to do this because this is user generated from customers and or prospective customers typing in questions or typing in things to our reviews. But if we understand this, we can harness the potential of keywords in reviews and Q&As that customers submit, especially when we're speaking about branded terms of other brands that are difficult in most cases to legally incorporate into our listing for terms of service. And then there's even things like ban words. So like you can't use CBD as an example in an Amazon listing, otherwise it will get suppressed. However, in the Q&A and review section, that stuff is allowed. So it's another way to potentially get around words that you can't actually include in your listing without getting it suppressed. So this is the general hierarchy. Title is more important than bullets. Bullets are more important than backend. Backend's more important than description A+. And then all of those things are more important than reviews and Q&A, although there's some unique nuggets with reviews and Q&A that you can include that you can't in the listing. The next is really all about the word hierarchy. And this is really how to think about how Amazon will scrape the keywords and put them together to understand exactly what keyword they need to index for you and to actually give you organic ranking for. This also plays really heavily into the pay-per-click nomenclature, which we will get into in the pay-per-click section as well. So the most power is going to go to exact terms. So using the golf travel case example, if a customer's typing in golf travel case, if you've got explicitly exactly how the customer typed it in golf travel case in your listing, you're going to get the most bang for the buck for that particular key term in exact form. And again, if you've got that exact form in your title, that's even more power. So it's kind of a combination of how are the words sequenced and then where in your listing are they, which is going to impact the power of that indexing and rank power. The next is plural, which you could almost put in the same category as exact, but this is basically just an S on the end. So in Amazon's eyes, they look at both of these key terms as the exact same thing. So it's a very, very key point. So if you include golf travel cases in your listing, it's the exact same thing as it being golf travel case, singular. So you don't need to put both of those in because Amazon's going to view them as basically the same word. So that's really important. Beyond exact, the next best benefit for SEO ranking power is the phrase. So this is literally where golf travel case in this case is still together, but there's either a word in the front or a word in the back of that sequence such that it's not exactly precise as it is in exact. So an example of this could be large golf travel case, or even golf travel case large is another example. So all the words are there in sequence, but there's a word at the front or the end. And then the least powerful but still beneficial is a broad search term. And this is basically where there is a word somewhere within that exact phrase search that breaks it up. So in this case, you could look at it like golf travel big case would be a broad term. So that big is kind of interjected in between travel and case, which breaks it up from an exact term to a broad term. So this word hierarchy, in concert with how that word is included in the various elements of the listing, is going to impact how Amazon indexes it and how they think about the power and relevance of it from an organic ranking standpoint. So this is just another breakdown in table form of the golf travel case and how you can think about it. So golf travel case is exact in that first case. It's exact in plural in the second. Big golf travel case is a phrase because there's the big in the front. Golf travel case black, because black is at the end, is another phrase. And then golf black travel case and golf big travel case, because they have a word that splits up that exact term, is going to be broad. One thing here too is that even though big and case may be in some of these keywords, in this particular case of golf travel case, that's not going to be any of these. So there's got to be a certain number of words to even achieve a broad status for a keyword. So in terms of how we need to think about this as we construct an alpha listing, on the left-hand side there, basically the higher the relevance in concert with the higher the keyword volume is going to be where we want to turn our attention to prioritizing exact phrase searches and prioritizing it into the higher value elements of a listing. So if it's got big relevance, we want to kind of focus on that number first. Even if it's got a little bit less volume, relevance is king when it comes to Amazon. But if we can match that high relevance also with high search volume or a low search frequency rank, that's really going to be where the most power is going to come from turning that into sales and organic ranking for your listing. So we're going to want to use exact match for those key terms, and we're going to want to put as many of those in the title as possible. And on the front end of the title, we're going to look at the most relevant and the highest volume terms to be at the front of the title. For other words that are lower relevance or lower search volume, we're going to prioritize those less. So it's actually okay if we put those into less consequential elements of our listing, say A+ content as an example, and or we're comfortable with not achieving exact match terms for those. So we'd be okay with having phrase and or broad for some of those lower volume, lower relevance terms because they're not going to have as much bang for the buck from a sales and organic ranking potential as is those high relevance, high search volume terms. Couple other quick noteworthy things. First of all, ban words, again, like CBD is banned. The only way to really index for those effectively is going to be using reviews and Q&A. If you put those things into your listing, it's going to get suppressed, and it's a big no-no. The other thing is for branded terms. So let's say in the golf case, I see Titleist golf bag is like a really core term that I want to rank for. I can't just go ahead and put Titleist golf bag in my title because I don't own the trademark of Titleist, right? However, you can do things to incorporate branded terms where it's relevant into your listing if your product is compatible with or works with another branded term. So a simple way to think about this is like an iPhone case, right? I'm not Apple. I don't own the trademark to iPhone, but if I've got a case that is compatible with an iPhone 11, I could say indestructible phone case for iPhone 11, or works with iPhone 11, or made for iPhone 11. So there's certain phrases that you can say if it's compatible with to actually incorporate branded terms into your listing. But you cannot take another brand's term and just plug it in flat if your product isn't compatible with it. You can't throw in branded terms in the back-end search terms. Any of those things, if picked up by Amazon in their brand registry, is going to suppress your listing, and you could have an IP violation if that happens. I should say that that's just Amazon terms of service. I have also had situations where I've effectively, using Amazon's compliant terms of service language, incorporated branded terms into my title, but that doesn't mean that you may not get a cease and desist or a request to remove those terms from your listing from the actual brand owner. And I've had that happen where a big brand basically reached out and said, hey, you're using our brand name in your title. Even though it aligned with Amazon's terms of service and it wasn't going to suppress my listing, I did have legal risk if I were to keep that in my title, so I removed it at the request of that brand. So a couple of these nuances just to keep in mind when you're thinking about keyword usage in your listing. And really what we're looking to do here is to use really deep keyword analysis. The stuff that we're covering in this course, the automation tools that we have in this course, are really top 1% skill level stuff and tools that you can use to have a massive leg up on your competition on Amazon. We're going to use that deep keyword analysis, and we're going to evaluate relevance as a human being. So we're going to look at those keywords as a human being and thinking about which are the ones that are most relevant and most describe our product on Amazon, and that we're actually going to have the most success on converting on Amazon. So we're going to take that with multidimensional data, with a human relevance lens. We're going to optimize that using exact phrase broad terms and the appropriate mechanisms in the appropriate parts of our listing, and that's going to lead to organic keyword domination. This is where the elite Amazon skills combined with a really good offer and understanding our customer really fuses into this trifecta that can be incredibly powerful for finding success on the Amazon platform.